All right, so we talked about the basics of pharmacology all through distribution. Now we got to talk about metabolism or biotransformation. And this is when a chemical is changed by the body. So it's how drugs are handled biochemically by the body. And there are a number of different processes such as hydrolysis, oxidation reduction, conjugation, lots of wonderful things that can happen. And the metabolism process can cause a number of different things to potentially happen. Now, remember, some medications are not metabolized at all, but if they are, they can actually further activate the drug. So we often will call that a prodrug. So we have a product that is basically inactive. It gets through a stage of metabolism, becomes active. It can cause no change. So you can have an active drug with an active metabolite, or it could deactivate the drug, right? It can stop the pharmacological effects. So that active drug then becomes an inactive byproduct. Okay. And this is typically done through enzyme biotransformation. Next part. Come on. So the primary organ that causes medications to be metabolized is the liver. And they create enzymes. The liver creates enzymes. There's a large system of enzymes that are created called the CYP or cytochrome P450 system. So people create different levels of these enzymes. Those are the most common ones that we see that break down drugs. And they have all these codes associated with them, like 2D6, 2C9, 3A4, blah, 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 blah. And these drugs can, or these enzymes can cause all of that kind of biotransformation stuff. We also have drugs that are not only what we call substrates or metabolized by those enzymes, there are also drugs that can work to further enhance the activity or inhibit the activity of those enzymes. And that's where some of our drug interactions come from, where one drug makes the activity of a CYP enzyme or CYP450 enzyme less available or inhibits it. And then if you have another drug that comes along that's a substrate or is broken down by that process is inhibited, means you'll have more of the unmetabolized product in your system, right? So that's where some drug interactions actually come from. The metabolites, as they get broken down, will diffuse back into the circulation, or they will start their movement into the elimination phase. So elimination is how drugs are cleared out of the body. So the active drug, the inactive drug, metabolites, whatever, all these things will be cleared from the body. The kidney is the biggest part here. So liver, metabolism, kidney, excretion, or elimination, right? So drugs can also be excreted in the urine, can be excreted in the urine. They can also be excreted in the feces, and those are usually the parts that aren't really absorbed or digested at all. We also see sweat, lungs, the bile, all of these things can also play a role in removing drugs from the system. But the kidney is really the really big player here. And one way that we measure elimination of a drug is through a measurement called the half-life. The half-life is kind of what it sounds like. It's the time that it takes for half of the drug to be eliminated from the bloodstream. So if something has a long half-life, that means it hangs around in the body for a longer period of time. If it has a very short half-life, it hangs out in the body for a much shorter period of time. And about 3 to 5 half-lives, most to all of the drug is gone, right? So if you have a half-life of 10 hours and you take 100 milligrams of the drug and it's 100% bioavailable, at 10 hours you'll have 50 milligrams, and then you'll have 25 milligrams, then you'll have 12.5. As you can see, that's how half-life works. So the initial amount is that full circle. After the first half-life, 50% remains. After the second half-life, 25% or half of 50 remains, right? And half-life can vary from individual to individual or based on drug interactions, based on the release of the medication. All of those things can potentially impact the half-life of a drug. So a nice example here of a drug that is being eliminated here, right? So we have 100% of the drug is given. There's metabolic degradation through the liver. The kidney also clears things out. So 33% is unchanged and peed out as urine. Of the 66 that is metabolized, 33% is renally eliminated. And then 33% is then, moves through the bile and inactivated and pooped out, right? Or something like that. Right. So you can see that there's different processes that often will come into play when it comes to eliminating drug products. So very interesting stuff.